The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and boy, I love the music. It gets me up every time I hear it. I gotta tell you, because I was kind of feeling down, so it was good to hear that music. When we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education, and we help hundreds of advisors across the United States in areas of life insurance, annuities, disability, long-term care, and life settlements. And we work with attorneys, accountants, and all kinds of people because we are experts in our areas. Our opinions are always non-biased opinions about these topics. We are not committed to any one insurance company or any one concept. As a matter of fact, we welcome the openness and the frankness and trying to help you with the best solution, not the best product. It's always about how do I solve your individual needs and solutions. Today, I kind of wanted to announce, the passing of one of my associates over the weekend. And it's with sadness, and it's with anger, too. And I hate to say that, but I want to really share my emotions. So this gentleman was very successful in business and was making a lot of money until he passed at age 80. A couple years ago, he lost his wife, he lost one of his children. He's survived by a daughter and a lot of grandchildren and nieces and nephews and whatnot. And why do I have anger? He had a chance for the last 5 years after losing his wife and his daughter to really sell his business and get value out of it. And he never did. He never pulled the trigger because he wanted a ridiculous sum and this and that. And what happened is he started losing clients. His business started to deteriorate. He didn't get the value he ever wanted. He overpriced his business. He didn't prepare. And then on his personal planning, which I tried to help him with many times, he would ask me a question and go off in his own direction. He kept putting more and more money into his retirement. Even at age 80, he was throwing more and more money in his retirement to the point where he had several $1 million in IRA money, like over $3 million in just IRAs and in just fixed annuities, which is kind of silly because his daughter, his nieces, they're all going to be taxed like crazy with this money, and it's unnecessary. Just totally unnecessary for him to be putting away this money. He was still making a great living, high six figures, if not seven figures. And he didn't need to be doing this to put taxes on his kids and his heirs. So his legacy is totally messed up. He got very little value for the business that he had built up, which is worth close to seven figures a year, if not more. He always told me it was seven figures a year. And it just kind of angers me that he didn't take care of his legacy. That his legacy is destroyed because he didn't plan it out. Not that he didn't have the opportunity to plan. That's what really pisses me off and really angers me, is he had the opportunity. We've put him in front of the right people. I gave him the right concepts on what to do, and he still went about and said, no, I'm going to do it my way. And that's part of his personality, is that he did not take anyone's advice. He was arrogant and did things his way. And that's what left me angry. And then I say to myself, how do I want to be remembered? And I ask you, the audience, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want your family and your friends to think about you after you've passed? And if you don't care about them, then it's very difficult for us to work together, to be quite honest with you. Because if you don't care about anybody, that's okay. That's you. But if you really care about people, there's a way of doing things. And there's a right way and there's a wrong way. So my question to you is, how do you want to be remembered? And we can help you with building that legacy. And that's kind of what we do. Okay, enough of the sorrow, sad, angry stuff. I came across a really fascinating article in reading Barron's. It was written by Neil Templin. And the article was, the worst year to retire wasn't 1929. I found that very interesting because I really wanted to know, empirically, what was really the worst year to retire. So Barron's asked the author William Bengden, who articulated the 4% rule for withdrawals in retirement, to investigate what's the worst time to retire over the past century in terms of portfolio depletion. Surprisingly, it wasn't 1929. Of course, that was the year of the Depression. So how could that be? So in 1929, it was a compounding risk factors of a double whammy. It was the worst crash in history. The sequence of returns was horrendous. It was retiring in a down market. Retiring in a down market can accelerate the depletion of your assets, because even if you're just taking 4% out, as your money is less, it depletes your assets that much quicker. But the worst year, mathematically, was 1968. In 1968, they experienced a substantial but less dramatic loss in the early years and a sluggish market in the succeeding years. And unlike 1929, the 1968 retirees faced another risk factor: inflation. As the article noted, prices nearly tripled between 1968 and 1983. And for those of us who were alive back then, they know that inflation was a real key thing. It peaked in 1980 at 13.5%. The combination of the high inflation and a weak economy, dubbed stagflation, decimated retirement portfolios. High inflation triggers withdrawals, which also accelerates account depletion. When combined with a down market, you get a classic double whammy, which caused 1929 retirees to outperform those in 1968. And he illustrated this with phenomenon with $200,000 portfolios, with a 1929 retiree and 1968 retiree, with a 4.6% annual withdrawal rate over 30 years. At the end, the 1929 retiree would have a $105,000 bonus balance, okay, just a 4.6% return and withdrawing 4% a year, and 1968 retiree would have nothing. Now we come to 2026. The historical context is relevant to today, and we face inflationary headwinds from energy prices, healthcare costs, massive budget deficits. Additionally, the democratic shift towards fewer workers and more retirees is straining Social Security, and Medicare will likely reduce retirees' incomes. Then there's always the possibility of a bear market, especially with stock prices so high. I'm telling you this because retiring today could be the worst year ever. Could be today, could be tomorrow. And with that longevity risk we have today of outliving our money, it could be devastating. So I'm only telling you this because there are some serious things to think about, and I have solutions that can help provide the fact that this won't be the worst year for you to retire ever. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. Best way to get a hold of me, 631-647-4694. That's Neil Himmelstein. Give me a call or visit me at themainstreetcode.com. We'll be right back after break. Oh, yeah. That music gets me back up, I got to tell you. I was feeling a little down. As I talked to you before the break, we were talking about an associate who died, who kind of left his family in a really, it's going to be a mess. His estate was not done properly. He had attorneys, he had accountants, he didn't execute, he didn't sell his business. He kept putting money in retirement when I told him you shouldn't be putting money away just to get a tax deduction, which you don't need now. You're just going to leave all the taxes to your beneficiaries. And he just didn't listen, and it angered me. And then we talked about, after that, we were talking about what was the worst year to retire. And there was all these empirical studies, and it wasn't 1929 during the Great Depression. It was really 1968. And the reason was the factors of 1968, where the market really didn't do that well after 1968. But one of the other factors was inflation, where prices tripled over a time period, and the money flow wasn't coming in, and the investments weren't performing, and you're taking out your 4% withdrawals every year, or whatever that withdrawal stream was. It made 1968 the worst year to retire, 13.5%. And now we come to 2026. Okay, here's the problem with it's 2026, and why I went through this whole story is the historical context is relevant to today's financial planning. By the way, Tim Kennedy just stopped in. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Neil. How are you? Thanks for
Good.
Thanks for waving me in. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, listen, Tim Kennedy is co-host of the Senior Show. And I always enjoy talking to Tim because he always has some different perspectives.
Different perspective. And, if I can give ourselves a plug, Neil, if you don't mind, but our show airs, your show airs on Friday, but our show airs on Mondays at 5 p.m., the Senior Show.
Right. And I'm looking forward to a great one this week. I really am. So the historical context, as I was saying, I just want to bring you up to date on this story, is that in today's financial planning, we face this tremendous inflationary headwinds with the oil prices and the Iran war, healthcare costs, massive budget deficits like we've never seen, and a democratic shift towards fewer workers, more retirees for Social Security, which we talked about in our show, Tim, a couple weeks ago, and we did a whole study on that. And you couple that with the longevity risks that we have today of outliving our money, and if we start hitting this inflationary period like we did, which I'm anticipating, and then you topple that up with a bear market, holy cow, we're in for a tough problem.
It's going to be a rough ride. Well, because when we retire, Neil, we always underestimate how much it's going to cost.
Right.
As we retire, every night is Saturday night. And they've done studies on spending habits, and we spend the most money on a Saturday because we're not working, right? We're working on the house, we're going grocery shopping, we're furniture shopping, we're car shopping, we're going out at night. Well, when we retire, every day is Saturday.
Yeah,
and we spend a lot more money than we think we ever would in retirement. And what that article there is talking about is sequence of returns risk.
Right.
So now we're dipping into something that's not growing at the rate that we thought it was going to grow at.
Right.
And now we're taking more withdrawals and living longer.
Right.
Yikes.
It's a problem. So, fortunately, we have some solutions that we can do today so that we can retire.
Well, mitigate that risk, right? Mitigate that loss.
Right.
Sure.
So that we can retire comfortably. So There are 3 solutions or 4 solutions I know of right now with no risk. One is an immediate annuity. An immediate annuity can give you an income you cannot outlive. Period. Wouldn't it great? You got that money coming in every week. You don't have to worry about the market's up, the market's down. Oh my God, gas prices are up. You get that income forever. Like Social Security, which is an annuity. It's a lifetime income that you can't outlive. So guaranteed income for life is a great, not a cornucopia. It doesn't solve all your issues.
Doesn't solve all the issues, but it's just another piece to the puzzle that can help them last longer. Hey, if I could throw one in there, Neil, do you mind if I throw one in there?
Sure, go ahead.
How about housing wealth? How about equity in your home? Right? Today, homeowners over the age of 62 are carrying over $14 trillion of home equity.
Right.
Well, we could implement that into your retirement plan as well, creating, like you said, like an annuity, but from the equity in your home, or creating that buffer asset. So instead of depleting your retirement portfolio, those liquid assets, now you can access money from a tax-free buffer asset from the equity in your home, aka reverse mortgage.
So that is a longevity risk that's certainly huge in helping, where you don't have to actually take an asset and you already have it.
It's yours.
And you don't have to take an asset that, oh, it's in the market, it's this and that, and put it into this immediate annuity. You already have that asset. So that's a great piece.
Yep. And just so I can just get it out there, the misconceptions. No, the bank or the government does not own your home when you die, number one. Right? It's still your home. Right. You can live in there for the duration of your life as long as you live in the home as your primary residence, pay your taxes and insurance, and maintain the property.
Right. And there's another situation, we'll call it a product solution, a partial solution. These fixed index annuities are tremendous. Why? Because you can take advantage of a good market and not get hurt if the market gets trashed. So you can outpace inflation by buying an index annuity. The idea is to keep your money and still let it grow a little bit, but still keep it without the risk. All we're trying to do is mitigate risk. Now, a fixed income annuity, a fixed index annuity, what it does is, if the market goes up, and depending on, they have caps to everything you do, but if the market goes up 10%, let's say, maybe there's a cap of 7, maybe there's a cap of 10, you get to take everything up to what that cap hits, and you get to keep it. And keeping it inside an annuity allows it not to be taxed. So it's a double protection because it's not being taxed while the money is growing. So not only does you get to participate in the upside protection, you also get to protect that money from taxation, which is one of those things that eats at your money. Now, if the market goes down, or you hit a bear market, you don't earn anything, but you don't lose anything. So that is humongous. So zero becomes your hero. And I'm going to tell you where it really becomes a hero. Let's say, God forbid, the market crashes. And we've all lived through it. You know, it happens. You can't really afford to do that retirement. But if you have an index annuity and the market crashes, let's say it goes from 10 to 5. You can call it 5,000, you can call it 5 million, whatever you want to call it. Let's say it goes from 10 to 5. The beauty of that is the next year you're working off of 5. So to get back to 10, you don't have to get back to 10. You get back to 6, you've gained 10%. You're gaining your money back without losing that year it went to 5. So it's like you almost want that one hit, and then you just keep piling it on because that's the way the market works. It usually works in 7 out of 10 are positive years. You hit that one bad year, you usually have a big jump the next couple of years.
Yep.
So,
well, that was quick.
Kind of works in your favor. And you've been listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I hope you found this interesting. It's something I hope is thought-provoking. and come in and see us because we can really dissect what you have. We want to put you in a situation where whether the market's up or down or we're in a war, we're not in a war, and all this stuff, that you know that you have money to live on and live comfortably.
Yep. Hey, Neil, I want to thank you for having me on your show today. I appreciate
Tim.
it. And I'll see you Monday, 5 p.m. on the Senior Show.
You got it, Tim. And how can I get a hold of you, Tim?
Oh, they can reach me at 516-729-6040. And remember, I am your certified reverse mortgage professional, helping you plan for more safe and secure retirement.
Thank you for stopping by today.
Thanks,
Tim.
man.
And if you want to get a hold of me, the best way to reach me is 631-647-4694. And if you miss an episode, you can always go to themainstreetcode.com, listen to me on Spotify or Apple, and you have a lovely day. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.